All right. Welcome to episode 2 of our Backroads Homestead podcast. My name is Ryan. Thanks for joining us. We had a really good response from the first podcast, and we're going to be making these as often as possible. Right now I'm in the barn dorium in the back where the seeding trays are, and I am filling the 6-pack seed trays with some organic soil, putting in some of the seeds, covering it with more organic soil, and stacking them. The lights that we put in, you can see on our YouTube channel and Rumble channels, also on backroadshomesteading.com. You can see how we put grow lights in on the Husky racks that you get from one of the box stores, heavy duty NSF racks, food safe racks, whatever. And growing these in stacks, putting the seeds together, we have the settle lights underneath the seed trays that are stacked, providing the warmth that is equivalent to most of your heat trays or your heat mats. So that is a way we use some of the lighting for dual purpose, so we don't have to buy more equipment than we need. So I got some of the worm castings and organic soil here, putting them into the trays and working it. I see a honeybee in here, so my neighbor's honeybees are taking flight. This is the first week of February. Punxsutawney Phil didn't see a shadow, so we're legendary groundhog had predicted that we're going to see an early spring, literally beginning of February, and it's 70 degrees. I am in a t-shirt. The sun is shining. Things are going to start blooming here pretty quick, which is both good and bad. Beginning of February, we are still in major danger of frost and freeze. And if some of those fruit trees and some of the stuff starts budding too early, it could wipe out everything. Had a very loud blue jay outside. Not sure if you heard that. Well, we had made some big progress today. We talked with our wholesale milk farm. And, some of those guys are into the 4-H groups helping youth get in to farming, FFA, that kind of thing. And we were trying to put together a farm share or some kind of distribution network. Raw milk is the hardest, and that's what he had, because there's more red tape with raw milk. So we talked again, farm share and that kind of stuff, and how can we help between homesteads and grow a network so that, each farm, each homestead doesn't have as much to do, but we can grow deep on some things or do, things that we want to do that we would share with the community. So super good conversations. Talked with a few farms today and talked with some of the homestead groups. We'll be going to a meeting tomorrow for North Central Arkansas, West Central Missouri. Bunch of the homesteaders are getting together, banding together. I will be doing a presentation on goldbacks, the gold currency, in March for one of these groups. Kind of telling people what it's about, how it works, that sort of thing. And we'll see where it goes. All right. I got this turmeric, and I'm not sure. I think I want to put those in some bigger pots right away. I'm going to start that turmeric. I had it dry and holding in the holding chambers, and probably get the turmeric out now. Looking at my jars and what I have for pots, these small plant pots would work probably pretty good to get those guys started. I've never done turmeric before, so I'm in the commercial kitchen part of our operation and trying to figure out what buckets to use and which hens are smaller. I want a smaller bucket for these. Anyway, 8 of them. Trying to not use all my soil that I had got. Unfortunately, some of it I did have to buy. When you can't make your own compost and you can't make your own soil, then you get raked over the coals for dirt, for soil. That is unfortunate. So yeah, a lot of progress made today on the homestead front. We're talking about between different farms to also putting together a community online. When you use the big .com communities like the Facebooks and that kind of stuff, you can't talk about animal sales, and there's words you can't use, and it's just a bunch of hierarchy mumbo jumbo that is a compression of our free speech. I'll use the word compression in this case. But I think with my background in doing website design and that sort of thing, I'm pretty good at putting together communities for a bunch of different groups. I started really doing this in 2012 and trying to come up with solutions for communities that didn't have a way to do it and make it in a secure way with low cost, with as much open source software as possible. And so we're talking about that. I think that would be good for our area, to have a intranet, if you will, which possibly even go off grid. That internet, when the internet first started, it wasn't but a few collections of colleges. And there's nothing saying you can't take this digital communication outside of, what's currently available on the fiber optic lines and that sort of thing. So interesting. We'll see where that goes. The class tomorrow is going to have master gardeners that are doing presentations on what grows best here, and we're going to see a whole bunch of different things. There's like 3 or 4 different presentations. So we're looking forward. This is like a new group that's meeting around here, and yeah, should be a good time. After I get done planting here today, I'm going to be doing some spray foam. All of this stuff will have videos on our and blog posts on backroadshomesteading.com of what we're doing, how we're doing it. Again, our little homestead, we're going to be doing agritourism. We're going to have, places to stay for people who are helping around the farm, and also who want to visit the farm, a homestead, the farmstead. And yeah, so there's a lot of stuff. After I get done spraying foam, I'm going to put sides on the trailer and pick up some mulch. There's a couple that got some mulch from the city, and they got way too much. So I think they were thinking they were going to get a little truck bed full, and instead got a dump truck or more full. So we're going to go check that out. Lots of cool stuff happening on our homestead. I hope that's happening on your homestead. Working together with community, it's kind of, it can be tough. It can be nerve-wracking. You put yourself out there a little bit, but connecting between local homesteads is really what is important. You can't do it all yourself. And I know that's hard for some people to accept, but you can't. You have to have a network and a community who see eye to eye on a lot of this stuff. That doesn't, a lot of people are like, oh, you're thinking about communes and blah, blah, blah. No. I mean, there is that. Finding the right people, that's, going to all these events that we're going to and all these group meetings. It's important to get to understand who your leaders are, how the group works, do your own vetting, figure out what their intentions are. Are they moral people? Are they godly people? A lot of that plays into, everything we do with the people we work with. If we find people that are not moral and they're not, they're all about the grid down, prepper network, militia, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, there's protection, and then there's like overthrowing the government. And that's one of these things is sustainable, and one of these things will not be sustainable. So we're going to roll with whatever punches happen. And if you haven't grown food this year yet, you really need to grow food. Go to your agricultural classes. I signed up for 2 this morning, one on cheese making, that's offered by our extension office, or the county over's extension office, and one on berries. So the berry farm here will be hosting a seminar. And we got, blueberries and raspberries and strawberries and a bunch of different kind of berries. I'm looking at this honeybee here, running right up on me, and she is investigating my black shirt. I'm looking at her legs, and I don't see any pollen on her legs. So she's flying around, and she's probably pretty hungry. Sorry. If there's a bee in front of you, you got to talk about it, right? She looks healthy, though. Don't see any mites on her back or nothing. Good, strong wings. They're well developed. Oh, wait, she's got pollen on one of her legs. Darker, though. Anyway, that's good to see. I mean, if they're hitting stuff, we left our dandelions out. Anything that has flowers right now, this is the hardest time of year. So, diverting a little bit here, but try to grow stuff that will grow in January and February. But if we have 70-degree days at the end of January, you got to try to plan for it and expect a loss. But if you're going to have an apiary, if you're going to have bees, you got to do some of this stuff. All right, I'm back into the turmeric. I'm going to plant 1 turmeric in each of these buckets. I'm not going to put a lot of soil in them right now. But with tubers, like we plant a lot of potatoes. Can I do that layering trick with the turmeric like you can with potatoes? I got the well-drained soil. I think this is the kind of soil they want. I don't know. Got to play with it. It's all an adventure, In the news this week, we saw a lot of stuff with the Jordan situation and people attacking our ships and almost succeeding this time. It was 5 seconds before they hit the Gravely or whatever it was. I don't know. I don't pay too much attention. I know enough to get the highlights and then keep your head on a swivel, but I don't sit around and dig into news all day long. That's just not healthy. We know stuff's going to happen. We know the stuff's going down. We know we're going to be in for a tough time here. And sitting around and just complaining about it on social media and not doing anything about it, well, in my opinion, the people who don't do anything about it are the problem. They're some of the problem, If you're not working with trying to grow some food this year, or, learning how to butcher or something, you got to be doing something, folks. You got to be valuable to the people who you are going to need stuff from. Let's put it that way, We already covered that not everybody can do everything, but everybody has to do something to be of value to the rest of the community. So we'll leave it at that, but just finishing up some turmeric buckets here. I'm excited. I want to do turmeric and ginseng and stuff. We did, like I said, we were really good with the potatoes last year. I'm fully going to be doing some potatoes. The insects down here are different, so I'm not sure. They got the Japanese beetle real bad here, so I got to try and mitigate that issue if possible. I hadn't really noticed the dragonflies from down the road. There's a couple of stocking ponds, and we have a dynamite amount of dragonflies, which is great. They wipe out so many bugs by themselves, and they're really pretty to look at, but dragonflies only eat at sundown, and then they're gone by sunset. So their window is very small, but those dragonflies will eat millions of bugs every night. When we moved down here, people were like, oh my gosh, you're moving down where there's poisonous snakes and spiders and, bugs up the kazoo, and you'll have mosquitoes the size of cars and that kind of stuff. I'm like, yeah. I didn't really experience it. When we came down here, we scouted properties for 6 months. We made a bunch of trips down. We got to know some people. We did our due diligence as best we could. And it was important to try and develop relationships as best you can in such a small small group setting, but do it. Picking up and moving, if you don't do this stuff, could be catastrophic. So it takes time to move to a new area. Picking up and just winging it and going where the wind blows you, that's a very different type of thing. Anyway, it's been amazing to watch the bugs. And then when you really start to understand, the bugs here are not the same as in Wisconsin. We have a lot of mosquitoes, a lot of lakes, a lot of standing water. But what's missing up in the northern part of the Midwest is bugs to take care of the other bugs and insects to take care of the bugs. Down here where there's less people and more land, the bugs are, everything the ecology here is more balanced. So there's a lot more things to eat things, and everything kind of works together in that harmony. So you have very minimal problems with one type of insect because everything else in that circle of life is there to wipe it out or use it as food or use it as compost, etc., etc. So I don't really see as many of the problems with this kind of stuff with the bugs. It's not as big of a deal, but the Japanese beetle, man, that thing just doesn't have enough enemies, and we were filling them up by the boatload. Now the chickens will eat them. So if we get chickens, they'll take care of some of that in some areas. So we can put the baits over there and then chickens get fed. But I think that's how that works. We looked at making soldier flies and that kind of stuff too, but a little bit at a time. When I say a little bit at a time, I think for a homestead, that went from a pretty decent gardener to now a full homestead. I'm biting off way more than I can chew and trying to manage it. So on top of all the production stuff that we're doing on top of that, it's definitely a lot. All right, the turmeric's done. We have the melons done. We got the sunflowers done. Now, should I do the peppers or should I start spraying I think I got to get on that spray. I think I'll do the peppers tomorrow. I got some yellow pear tomatoes yet. It's cauliflower. But all this seed was given to me, and it's really old. It's like 2018, which for me is really old. So, rotating it, bringing it back to life, having the moisture, doing the, sprouting tricks with the sprouting cans. We're doing all of it. But you won't know with the melons and stuff because they sprout. So, peppers too. Basil, peppers, all that stuff. All the part of the brassica, whatever family, the broccoli family. All of that stuff, as another example, because we got like cauliflower and stuff. All of that stuff takes so long to, harvest. Or sprout, I should say. Sprout. So, man, we got fencing that's got to be worked on. I got the fence post device, which I'll be making videos on. I got to process a few of these walnuts yet, which they're dry now, so we can get those bagged up. Lots of stuff to do. Lots of good things happening on our homestead. Networking is going fabulous. I really appreciate everybody who's listening to this on all the different platforms. We're streaming it on dozens of podcast streaming sites: Apple, Amazon, Google, Google Podcasts, Blurry, Spotify, Pandora, you name it. We're going to have our homestead podcast available pretty much everywhere. Because my main background is marketing and I can't help it. I have a sickness. But got the seeds pretty well done for the day. I'm going to move on to doing spray foam, and I don't think I can bring the microphone in while that is happening. So if you like this content, please share it with others. Please like it or add it to your playlist. We definitely appreciate it. Download it, however you can do it. Check out backroadshomesteading.com for our blogs. We do blogs on top of our podcasts, and all of our dozens of videos that we do. We try to do at least 2 videos a week. and possibly a live stream. We're going to try to do one podcast every week. So still working on the format and what's going to be available, but it's really important to me to try and keep growing the network, helping people grow their networks, working on what's sustainable, what's not, helping prevent burnout. These are topics we're going to cover on our Backroads Homestead podcast. If you want to be part of it, again, save this podcast so you can find it, download it, and turn on your notifications for your podcasting app so that you can find this podcast when we make another one. It may be more sporadic than I'd hoped, but I've been doing podcasts for a while, or I did back years ago, and we were pretty consistent doing one at least every week. So look forward to seeing your comments. Please post comments on our website where this podcast is listed. We really love the feedback, and we will be doing some giveaways as well for during our live streams on some of the products that people want us to review. We'll be giving some of those away. We'll be giving away gold backs, the gold currency on some of our stuff, and just growing our community, doing what God set us here to do. My name is Ron with Backroads Homestead. We hope you have a lovely day. See you in the next video, or in the next audio, or in the next writing.